It started 6 months ago when I joined the fairly popular MMORPG, or Massive Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game for the less nerdy readers. I'll just hint to which one to avoid any backlash since they had nothing to do with what happened to me. It's a fantasy game, pretty cute and funny, and the players can join in other players' battles and help out, which I found charming. When I began playing, I was a noob without any idea as to what I was doing. I was running around in circles and struggling to figure out the map. After running around the same area clueless for half an hour one day, another player with a very attractive avatar made a gesture to follow, and she led me to the plateau I was struggling to find. I expressed my gratitude, and instead of leaving, she stuck around. She then helped me with the battles in my upcoming quests and then offered me to join her party. I was thrilled to have a helping hand in the company of another.
I'm Carla. Nice to meet you,
the chat box displayed. It was exciting to have the attention of an actual person, especially a female one. In the real world, people look right past me. They see through me as if my features don't qualify to be worth registering. I've never had a girlfriend, and after being rejected a few times, I realized I'd rather not attempt to give any unwanted attention, let alone humiliate myself.
It's nice to meet you, Carla. Thanks for getting me unstuck. The map is hard to figure out.
I pressed send and waited, feeling my heart speed up. Saying the map was hard to figure out made me sound like I was stupid. I was in the midst of typing JK when I received another message. Deaf is a pain in the butt. They should have added an icon to show if it's on a higher or lower level, says Levi. I then watched her character perform a silly dance that had me cracking up.
I can help you with some of the quest if you'd like. It's nice to actually be useful.
I smiled and typed,
That would be great. Thank you, Carla. My real name's Matthew, by the way.
I like the name Matthew,
she sent back. And just a winking emoji was enough to send my imagination running wild. Her in-game character was extremely attractive, but literally every single character in the game was, even wearing silly hats or outfits. Still, something within me stirred, something that would continue as our online relationship grew. After a few days of playing online with Carla, helping me level up and get some great equipment, we continued to chat. I was thrilled when she told me she lived in Delaware, just a state away from me. She lived in a tiny studio apartment with her cat Smoke, and she worked retail at a clothing shop, but was saving up for nursing school. She was 22 years old and into a lot of the same films and shows as me. I couldn't believe it when she made JoJo references or Evil Dead quotes. I was smitten. I told her my consolidated life story and described my mundane life in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. She seemed genuinely interested, and my attraction to someone I had never met slowly but surely grew every time I logged on. I began playing every day just to spend time with Carla, and the days she was absent from the server, I missed her dearly. About 2 months into our online friendship, Carla logged on to my joy, but the mood shifted when she messaged me.
I'm in a dark place. Can I maybe call you?
The chat window read. My throat closed up at the request. I hate my voice. I stumble and trip over words when I'm nervous. I tugged at my hair in frustration and paced around my bedroom, lit by the glow of the screen. Finally, I sighed, realizing there was no point hiding behind my chisel-jawed in-game character forever.
Sure, okay,
I replied. She asked for my number and I gave it to her. My heart raced as the phone vibrated on the desk. Hello? I hated the way it came out.
Oh, Matthew, thank you for letting me call. I just need to actually talk to someone.
Her voice was lovely and soothing.
Of course. Is everything alright?
I was harassed by a customer at work. He kept asking me out and I politely declined, but he kept persisting until I threatened to call the police. I get that sometimes, but when I got home, I could have sworn I saw someone in the bushes staring at me. I'm just so shaken up.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Nobody deserves that, I stated. glad she was safe.
Most men are like that. They see you as an object they want, not a person. Not you. You're different, Matthew. You see me for who I am.
Her voice slowed in a sultry manner.
It's really drawing me to you.
We spent the evening talking about our hopes and dreams, our philosophies and politics. Carla told me she had an abusive mother who would beat her as a kid, a father who left before she was born. I told her of my life as an awkward kid who just was not attractive to women. She cooed into my ear through the receiver in response.
You are so much more attractive than you know. I honestly can't stop thinking about you the past few weeks,
was her reply. Eventually, the sky began to light up from the rising sun, and I needed to get some sleep. We said our goodbyes, but ended up texting each other back and forth. She kept flattering me and expressing interest, and then a few days later, she sent me a photo. A stunning woman blowing a kiss at the camera. She was so beautiful. If I sent my photo, she'd lose interest. I responded with compliments and emojis, but eventually, she asked to see me. I typed some long-winded response about how I'm unphotogenic and not attractive to begin with, but she kept pressing. I took a photo of my awkward smile and pressed send.
You're cute,
came the reply, and I was beyond relieved. Over the next weeks, we became friends on Facebook, and I was driven wild by how attractive she looked in the few photos she shared online. I saw her tiny apartment and her adorable little gray cat Smoke. It was all very much real, and I was falling for her. Then, out of the blue, I received a text from Carla that shook my core.
I need to see you.
I stared at those 5 words with anguish. This surely would be the moment the magic died. All I could envision was meeting up with her, then her looking at me from head to toe before saying, "Oh," aloud. I couldn't take it. My heart was so fragile it felt it would shatter into a million pieces at any given moment. Still, I had no choice but to accept or risk ending it all. "Okay," I texted, swallowing a large lump in my tightening throat. A few weeks earlier, Carla had sent me a pin drop on maps of her address, and she had more recently asked me to share mine. I'd previously expressed my displeasure of having a roommate, Pete, in his mid-20s, who never cleaned up after himself. I thought it had seemed clear that she wanted me to go to her place when I got the message reading, "See you soon." I flossed and brushed my teeth after a second shower. After a spritz of cologne and a dollop of hair gel, I dressed in my best pair of jeans and shirt. My heart was pounding. I sat in the car for a few minutes after putting Carla's address into the GPS, and then I shifted into drive. I kept wiping the sweat from my face as I drove. My hands were shaky on the wheel. I felt like the world was about to implode the second she laid eyes on me, yet I drove on. The scenery was a blur. I couldn't see beyond my own impending rejection. The half-hour drive felt like a lifetime, but finally, I pulled into a small apartment complex off the highway as "Your destination has arrived" was relayed via the GPS. I parked, then built up my courage to get out. I approached the door marked 5B, her door. I knocked and waited, but there was no answer.
"Carla, it's Matthew,"
I said. Nothing. I imagined she'd seen me through the window and realized her mistake. She'd likely changed her mind after seeing my face, or my waist. I was about to turn around and drive back, but then I saw movement in the dark room behind the curtain. There was a figure, more just a shadow, in the unlit room. They looked to be convulsing in the corner, twitching in the throes of what appeared to be a seizure. My heart pounded, and I thought of the prospect Carla was having a medical emergency. She could be in danger. I tried the door, but it was locked. This was my one chance to be a hero, I thought. I stepped back from the door and took a few short, deep breaths, then charged into the door with my shoulder. White-hot pain burned in my shoulder as a loud bang sounded. I stepped back and charged again, then again, trying the best I could to ignore the burning pain. On the 5th attempt, the lock gave out and the door burst open. The smell hit me like a tidal wave. I coughed and choked, covering my mouth and nose with my hands as I looked at the quivering, slumped form in the corner. It was a long-haired woman, but they were pulsating, shifting in some strange manner that the darkness concealed the nature of. I reached my splayed hand over the wall, locating a light switch, and flicked it on. I let out an involuntary yell. In the corner was an emaciated woman, covered with thousands of feeding flies. Her skin was sagging, her skin loosely draped over the armature of a skeleton as if all the meat had been removed from her body. I recognized the hair, which had fallen off in patches where the skin had begun to rot. I recognized the crystal earrings dangling from her ears as well. It was Carla, but she had been dead and rotting for weeks, maybe even months. I jumped at the buzz emanating from my own pocket. It was a text notification on my phone.
I'm like 5 minutes away. Look forward to seeing you.
I gagged from the terrible stench and the horror of the hollowed-out body, listening to the din of 1,000 buzzing flies. An incoming text buzzed again, and I read the new message.
Hey, I'm here. Let me in?
I then realized the mix-up. She intended to go to my place. Not her though. Not Carla. Something else. My heart beat rapidly in my chest. This woman, whose photos I'd seen in shared messages, was clearly long dead and rotting away in this dark room. Who was texting me? And who was at my apartment? My skin iced over as I thought about my roommate Pete. It was 6:30 and he was likely home from work. I called him, listening for a few rings before his voicemail picked up. I sent a text, urging him to get out of the apartment. That withered corpse in the corner wasn't skin and bones from decay. Something had sucked out every ounce of muscle. I was about to call again when another message appeared, quickly followed by another.
Where are you? Where are you, Matthew?
I ignored it, dialing the authorities instead. I sat in my car, conveying my worries and listening to the grim discovery. They found my roommate, Pete, dead by the front door. His lifeless body was emaciated beyond logical explanation, as if he'd slowly starved to death over the period of years. His shriveled skin draped over his bony frame. The cause of death was unknown, but I was cleared from any suspicion due to lack of physical evidence. There was no sign of forced entry, only a set of strange scratch marks on the floor and on Pete's draping skin. Carla's body was discovered after I relayed the information to the police, though the bizarre nature of her wasted away body made the time of death hard to determine. I was informed she had to have been deceased for at least a month. I never received any more texts from Carla's phone. I think whatever I'd been communicating with was far too intelligent to get traced and tracked that way. I stopped playing that online video game altogether and tried to get over my heartbreak. How many of those messages were from the real Carla? How many were just bait laid out by whatever thing had taken her away from me? I moved on with my life and moved apartments as well for my own safety. I stopped playing that online game altogether.